Justice
Uncle, what do you
Puttaswamy.
mean by valid restriction?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that the jurisprudence so far has established through certain case laws that there are certain tests that are established. If those tests are fulfilled, then state intervention is justified and it would compose a valid restriction to the right to privacy
But
or
council, you
any
should.
of the fundamental rights for that matter.
But council, please note that your notification gives the government powers, unfettered powers, with the use of the terms "in any manner it may deem fit." How can you give such, and how can you hold such notifications to be valid? What do you mean
Much
by
obliged.
"in any manner"? That means you can do anything under the sun.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that while the government has been granted fairly wide powers of discretion under the notification, the same is backed by the existing legal provisions in the Data Protection Act and the Disaster Management Act that will be applicable in the case at hand. Further, Council submits that the
Will this
tests such
notification
as that.
supersede the law and the separate rules because of the unprecedented pandemic?
My apologies, Your Lordship. I was unable to hear that.
Will the notification supersede the law and the other prevailing, I think, the Disaster Management Act? In view of the Disaster Management Act, will this notification supersede the law itself?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that while the government notification cannot supersede the law, the provisions itself of the Disaster
Timekeeper, I could
Management
only
Act.
see minutes. I don't know how many minutes are left. 10. Okay.
Your Lordship, it
Yes.
says 10. May I continue?
Please do.
Right. Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that while the notification cannot supersede the existing law, the provisions of the Disaster Management Act itself state that if the pandemic qualifies as a disaster, then the provisions of the Disaster Management Act itself can overshadow any existing law that is in contravention with it. And further, the notification is backed by these provisions of the Disaster Management Act, and the Data Protection Act sanctions such government usage, as in it allows Section 35 of the PDPA allows the government to release such a notification where they're given extremely
Council,
wide
how do
powers.
you say that the notification is backed by the Disaster Management Act?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that in accordance with Section 35 and 36B of the Disaster Management Act, it allows the central government to take the exact quote of the provision is any measures necessary for disaster management. And Section 36B especially says that it is the responsibility of every government department to revise its policies in accordance with the level of intervention that is required during a disaster. Hence, Council submits that in the case at hand, in addition to the pandemic, there was a situation of internal unrest that was arising due to the specific targeting of a community. And in accordance with both of these prevailing conditions, it allowed the government to use the powers that are sanctioned under the
But all
data
all
protection.
laws are
Council,
under the judicial review of the court. We believe that all laws are under judicial review and judicial scrutiny. We believe that this notification gives unfettered powers and does not give a circumstance under which such powers could be exercised. It is just saying it can utilize it in any manner. Why should a government be given such kind of wide powers without any control? How is it even valid? Is there any judgment by this court which has upheld such notifications which are giving unfettered powers to the government? Is there any judgment?
Right, Your Lordship, it is being submitted that in the case of in the Puttaswamy judgment, it was held that so eventually the holding of the case allowed the validity of the Aadhaar Act, and only certain provisions that were considered a case of government overreach were struck down, which was a Supreme Court judgment. Firstly, and
so
secondly, the
Council,
cases
in
that
this case, we think that the entire notification is a case of government overreach.
much obliged, Your Lordship. It is submitted that Council submits that it is not a case of overreach because it validly qualifies according to the test that was the three-pronged test that was laid down in the Puttaswamy judgment. It validly qualifies according to all the three prongs of it, which is that it is backed by a law. The welfare measure that was taken was backed by a law. Secondly, it fulfills the test of legitimate state interest. This was also
Council,
discussed in the case of.
Council, please note that there are two parts of the notification which is eyebrow raising. One is that it can be applied in any manner as the government deems fit, as I already stated, as very rightly pointed out by Council 1 for the petitioner. And the second being, Cobalt is required to share the personal data sets with the government, and the provisions of the act will not be applicable to such sharing by Cobalt. So you're even removing the applicability of the Data Protection Act. That means what? There will be no law governing you in the sharing of data. You can do whatever you want. How is that portion even valid?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that the reason behind the notification was the bona fide intent
I
of
don't care
maintaining.
about the reasons. You cannot say you're trying to save the world and under the garb of saving the world do nonsense, right?
Your Lordship, however, it is respectfully submitted that it was not under the garb because the prevailing situation were unprecedented times where it was impossible for the government to intervene effectively if they didn't take drastic measures to
But
control
why
the
will you say
public.
you're not governed by any law? Why can't you have limitations? Why will you say that the law is not applicable to you?
Your Lordship, the
Okay, let
reason
us
this
say,
was stated.
for instance, let us say that these unprecedented times even saw situations where police uh, brutally beat up the citizens for not complying certain laws. So, will you go ahead and say the Indian Penal Code will not apply to these acts because the government had such unprecedented situations?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. However, Council submits that that is not the case at hand at all. While the government has stated in the notification that the provisions would not apply, this was for the limited purpose that they could then go ahead and release the data sets through the online yellow book via Free Public in order to allow citizens to exercise due caution and care in coming in contact with other people. However, they would have been unable to do so
Council,
if they were.
Council, are you aware of the HIV virus?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Can the government go ahead to prevent spread of HIV virus, publish all the names in official gazette or release it to the public in such a manner? Is that right?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. It would not be. However, the
If it is
coronavirus
not right,
cannot be.
if it is not right in that situation, I think even my co-judge would agree that it is not right even in this situation.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. However, Council would like to respectfully disagree because the nature of the coronavirus cannot be equated to the HIV virus. The level of destruction that has been caused due to the coronavirus has been observed not just in India but all over the world, and especially with a disease so
HIV virus
contagious, it is.
council till today does not have any cure.
I
It is
agree, Your
it
Lordship.
has been there for so many years. So just release the data, tell everyone in the world who has it so that they at least prevent themselves from meeting such people or engaging in any activities with them. That is a good way of preventing and protecting the world, right? Why is it not applicable there if this is a way you have to prevent viruses?
Your Lordship, Council submits that the same cannot be equated in the case of the coronavirus due to the large-scale death toll and the need for the the immediacy of the situation that required intervention almost immediately. So it was impossible for the government to comply with every single provision of the act, and hence they used their powers, which
Council,
were validly
are
sanctioned.
there
Under.
many other usage of nefarious activities like smoking, drinking, which is not good for health? Do you believe they are not good for health?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Why don't we publish data of all drunkards and smokers in order to protect and grow and help the country to be a healthy nation? Is that
Your
right?
Lordship, smoking and alcoholism is an individual choice. However, getting inflicted by the coronavirus in the times of a pandemic is not.
No, we are
Hence, you cannot
referring to
possibly.
mass deaths. So when you're saying deaths, ultimately people who smoke die of various other causes, right? So ultimately I'm
Yes.
saying, see, coronavirus, COVID-19 helps you to die quicker. Maybe smoking helps you to die after a few years. So I'm saying ultimately it is the number of deaths in the country which are increasing. So in such situations, let us publish all these datas and release it in the public domain.
Your Lordship, in the interest of time, Council seeks permission to answer the question posited and proceed to the following issue.
We'll extend your time. You do not worry. You answer our questions.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that while smoking and alcohol also has its own set of death tolls, however, the same cannot be equated to the pandemic because, firstly, people aren't choosing to be infected by it, as I already stated. Also, the risks of these are magnified to another level because of how contagious the disease is, and considering the sort of social situation that it is leading to in the country, the immediacy for action, as I already stated, was required. In addition to the pandemic, there was also the cases of internal unrest that were prevailing in the country at the time, which were not directly linked to the pandemic but were a result of it. So there was the need for government
Council,
intervention,
don't you
which
think the stigma?
But council government intervention does not mean government exempting itself and other private bodies from any applicable laws. We're talking
Correct.
about the overreach of the government over here, where the government has very clearly and very arbitrarily
Evaded the
shadowed itself,
provisions of the act.
evaded the provisions of the act. Exactly.
much obliged, Your Lordship. However, Council respectfully submits that the intent of the government was never to override
The
the
government
provisions of
is
the
very
Act.
nice. The government is very nice. It is, taking care of our health. We are very concerned and happy to
Thankful.
have such a great government. But what we say is very simple. Can you can you pass a law stating that the law will not apply to you? Have we seen such laws before saying that the law will not apply to us? Is there any law like this passed before?
Um, I am not sure, Your Lordship. However,
I am also not
perhaps
sure. So let us nullify this notification partially.
Your Lordship, any nullification of this notification would have grave impacts in
Two
terms
minutes,
of the
timekeeper.
would have a grave impact in terms of the actions that can be taken by the government in terms of public welfare and controlling a situation that is entirely unprecedented. It is impossible for the government to even foresee the extent that it is going to go to, the amount of time that is going to last for, and the situation even in terms of
Have
the
you has this release of this data? Uh, could you tell me, was there any control on the pandemic because of this release of data?
Your Lordship, that is not covered within the scope of the fact pattern,
Then I
hence it
may
is
ask
impossible.
another question to you. Why have you chosen a private TV channel and not the national channel for release of such data? Or why did you not release this data in official gazette notification? Why did you release it on TV? Or why did you release it on a news channel?
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Council submits that the purpose of releasing the data through free public via an online yellow book was that the government was trying to get the message out as fast as possible. So they took the course of action that they
No,
thought would.
even DD was widely being seen due to a number of what do you say, channels and episodes that they replayed. So DD National was also, Doordarshan also was being used widely. Why do you think Doordarshan does not have wide circulation?
Your Lordship, Council submits that. It was never my intention to argue that the reach of DD. However, it is
No, no.
being
The
submitted that
problem here that you do not answer is, why do you choose a private body over a government body? That is the question you need to answer.
Your Lordship, Free Public was used because the provisions of the Disaster Management Act, specifically Section 67A, empower the government to use audio and visual media resources to release the advisories. And it has been said that the entire purpose of doing this is basically to get the message to the masses in the quickest possible way. So the
Council,
Council,
reason
why
they
that
do
not use
not say,
multiple
they do not
TV
say through
channels?
private. Do they say through private body channels? The Disaster Management Act.
no, Your Lordship, it is open to even a government news channel.
So why not use multiple? Like, why limit it to this one particular channel?
Your Lordship,
See,
the
if the intent of
only
the government was
possible.
that, if the intent of the government was to ensure that um, the data has like this widespread reach and everybody gets access to the data, then why not do it through multiple channels? Is our question.
Your Lordship, the government could have used several channels to release the data, but the only possible defense here is that the reason Free Public was used was because of its wide reach and the fact that it had great viewership in terms of information relating to the pandemic.
So, Council, don't you think the government is favoring certain private agencies here and not and not being very fair towards others?
My apologies, Your Lordship, your voice cut out. I was unable to hear that.
Ravi
Sorry. So,
Shemin,
Council, don't you think the government is rather
huh?
favoring certain private agencies? For example, when it's exempting cobalt from the data protection laws, and when it's giving data to one particular news agency instead of the other. So, when we take all of this into consideration, the intent of the government is also in question now.
Much
It
obliged,
seems
Your
it is
Lordship.
to
However,
earn
Council.
also. There seems to be ulterior motives of even earning money out of such kind of
Precisely.
actions.
Much obliged, Your Lordships. However, Council submits that the entire purpose of the collaboration with Cobalt was merely because they believe that this particular company in the private sector would have been most effective in terms of creating an app for contact tracing and sale of online medication during the pandemic. And
Council, is there a tender of any sort? Does the food proposition speak about a public offer being given
no, Your
before
Lordships,
selecting cobalt?
there are no factual aspects with this. In this.
But when you choose free public, I think you need to answer the judgments which clearly say that you call for tenders. You choose one body against others
When the
because of some
government
special.
chooses one body over the other, it
Yes.
matters.
Your Lordship, there is again no factual aspects regarding this in the proposition. However, the only defense that can be posed herein is that due to the urgency and the immediacy of the action that was required, they sort of resorted to the quickest possible means that they could come across. And there was no case of bias in terms of favoring a private party over the
Council, wrap up your arguments in 30 seconds.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. With regard to the second issue, Council would like to submit
Uh,
that there has been no violation in terms of the privacy policy,
uh,
since the government action of releasing the data via Free Public was backed by the statutory provisions of the law. There are sections such as Section 12 of the PDPA that explicitly state that the government doesn't require consent in the case of a medical emergency or the outbreak of public disease to process the data sets or do whatever they please with it. Further, with regard to the provisions of the Disaster Management Act, it is stated that firstly, it will have an overriding effect on any other law that is inconsistent with it. And in the times of a disaster, such as the pandemic at hand, they can use whatever national resources they require to address the needs of the pandemic. And lastly, Section 73 and 74 of the Disaster Management Act provide the government with all-round immunity,
thank
including
you,
immunity
Council.
for any body such as Cobalt acting on their behalf from legal
Thank you,
proceedings for the
Council.
action. Thank you, Your Lordship.
Respondent speaker 2. Shall we start, Mega, for speaker
Yes,
2?
please.
May I approach the bench? May the council approach the bench?
We are
Please.
on a virtual court, so please do not.
The council seeks permission to refer to the bench collectively as your lordships.
Go ahead.
Mega to reply to that.
Much obliged. The council
Council,
submits that.
speaker number 2, could you come out with a way where a bench consists of a female and a male member that without reference to the gender, without hitting both the genders, you address us in a gender neutral term? Do you have any idea or any
May I
suggestion?
address you as Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, the council submits that there has been no breach of privacy policy by storing of data outside the territories of India. Under Section 33(1) of PDPA, if the data has been served on domestic servers, it may be transferred outside the territories of the domestic country. Furthermore, given that Cobalt was functioning under the notification that has been released by the government on 30th March 2020, it was required to perform that action
Why
as
was the
instructed.
processing of data done outside?
Your
Why
Honor,
was the
sorry.
data collected? Sorry, why was the data collected and kept in servers outside India?
Much obliged. Your Honor, given the circumstances of the pandemic and how it struck the country, a new work from
Did it
home policy
strike
was
only the
implemented.
country or the world at large?
My apologies. When the pandemic struck the world, a new work from home policy was introduced for the employees of Cobalt, which which required such data transfers to be made in order to ensure that the employees have access
No,
to data
council. What
from
what
their.
we what I feel is, India also has a number of IT companies with a number of servers in the country itself. Why do you choose to save it outside India? Is it not to get away with a leakage of such information that took place in this case?
Your Honor, cloud services are quite often used in such cases. Moreover, there are employees that are working from outside the country as well who needed this access, and which is why it was essential for
Council,
Cobalt to.
please show me where does it say that the employees of Cobalt were from abroad and not India?
Um, uh, 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 Paragraph number uh, 6 of proposition 6A. It says that there were few employees who were working outside the country, wherein it was essential for them to access it in order to undertake their duties.
No, no, no. Please read the specific line from your fact sheet.
Um, this is the second line of the paragraph. This resulted in a data breach as employees were
So it
working from the
resulted in
respective.
data breach. It nowhere says that for the employees to access from abroad that the data was served outside.
So, Your Honor, your voice broke. I'm really sorry. I'm having a sketchy.
What I'm saying is, it nowhere says that since the employees are working from abroad, that is why the server has to be located abroad. And what about the users and employees in India?
Your Honor, Cobalt is also a foreign-based company which has servers online. Hence, it was essential for them also to use the concerned space and use their cloud services that are present and store it outside the territories.
So please
Council,
show.
but you didn't even take proper security safeguards. The
Correct.
entire
Um,
data breach. See, the fact. Okay, you went beyond what is permissible, and you went and stored it outside. On top of that, you did not take adequate security safeguards, because of which such a data breach happened. And now you're trying to say that nothing is your fault. How
um,
can we agree to that?
Much obliged. Your Honor, it is submitted that given the unprecedented nature of the pandemic, all these activities were taken in a hurry, and the fact that Cobalt was acting on the government notification, it was essential for them
Just
to
because
quickly
you
undertake
acted
these
in
actions.
just because you acted in hurry, does that mean that the citizens should be at stake for your negligence and carelessness?
Your
Also,
Honor,
Council, one more thing that I wanted to point out is, see, Cobalt collecting data and storing it and processing it also was happening before the government notification came out, if I'm right.
yes, Your Honor.
Yes. So the
Yes.
government, and the government notification says that the provisions of the Act will not apply to the sharing of data by Cobalt. That is the sharing to the government,
Only
which
government.
means that,
Yes.
yeah, which means that sharing is protected, right? This whole data breach, you not adhering to the security standards, you transferring data outside India, or all of that is not, you're not protected under by the notification at all. So you cannot take the defense that the notification, because of the notification, you're protected.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Given the nature of the pandemic, it was only because of the circumstances that Cobalt was in that such measures were taken. If we look at the principle that was settled in the case of Tenants versus C.S. Wilson, which is a court of appeal case, it was established. The but for test was
Is that
established
is
in
that
certain in.
binding on us?
Madam, you
Sorry.
didn't order.
Is that decision binding on us?
Uh, Much obliged, Your Honor. It would have persuasive value in such a case.
Okay.
So in that, it was established that whenever such an hindrance occurs, the hindrance should have a direct nexus to the action of the parties that are involved in a contract. Given that, had the pandemic never occurred and the new work from home policy never introduced in to tackle the issue, it would have
Counsel,
never.
that judgment would not apply to you for one reason. please look into clause 4A of your fact sheet on page 3. The last line would read, however, a backup copy of personal data sets was also stored by Cobalt in servers located within the territorial boundaries of Zindia in order to comply with the act. Now, with my minimal technical knowledge, if a data is already there on a server, anyone from the entire world can access it. So why was there a need to take a storage of data in the cloud services outside India when you could have taken a backup on another server in India itself when you already did that?
Your Honor, given that we are a foreign company, we have servers present that are outside India also, and it was a decision of the company to use the data, the cloud services that are
Then why
provided to
was there
us.
no safety in preventing breach? There was a breach of almost 50,000 users details.
Your Honor, given the unprecedented nature of the pandemic,
Council, so you're saying that the company is inefficient. We haven't done our homework properly. We should have done it. We're sorry for what happened. Is that what you're saying?
obliged, Your Honor, but the council disagrees, given that nobody really had any experience in dealing with such an issue. The
But
company.
when you're a company that is dealing with such sensitive information, which is governed under such stringent laws, don't you think that you should abide by those laws?
Your Honor, we are following the conditions that are laid down under Section 33(1), which requires us to save the data on domestic servers
Don't
as
you all
well,
have
along.
don't you have
Council,
the
one second.
requirement to
Section
safeguard?
33(1). Sorry, Manu, please.
Don't you also have the need to safeguard and protect such information and prevent such breaches that took place? Is that also not a requirement?
Your Honor, it is a requirement, but again, acting on the notification, it uh, uh, it was something that was out of control of the company. And given that, in addition to that, the app was not a mandate.
Shall we issue an
The app was
order
not a mandate.
directing you to pay compensation for to all these users and directing that this company and asking you to issue a formal apology in the public domain? Will you be able to do that?
Your Honor, given that the application was not a mandate that was put through the government, the individuals who took up to share their data on the application took it up voluntarily and agreed to the privacy policy
Council,
that.
they agreed to you processing their data. They did not agree to you taking their data outside the country.
And leaking
You
it.
haven't
No,
and taking it exactly.
Your Honor, under clause 2 of the privacy policy, it was
Also, if I'm right, Council, you're supposed to maintain technical security safeguards,
Yes.
and that is a representation that you do give to your users.
Your Honor, much obliged,
So
but
technically, you misrepresented to them. You took their data. You went took it outside their country. You leaked it, and now you're
your,
saying that it's because of your inadequate work from home policy.
Your Honor, had it not been for the pandemic that had occurred, it would have something like
Council,
this.
you cannot take an argument of had it not been. That's not something that you can take up in a court. See, had it not been for the pandemic, a lot of things wouldn't have happened.
The notification itself would not have
The
been released.
notification, exactly, yeah.
Your Honor, given that the users of the application agree to the clauses that are present in the application in the privacy policy, which required them to agree to the force majeure clause as well. Um, it was a voluntary undertaking that was made by
Timekeeper,
the
how much
user.
time is left?
Um, Your Honor, I'm
Yes,
not sure.
timekeeper.
I
Timekeeper,
think
could you
time
unmute
about
and just say 7
7
minutes?
minutes left.
Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Please
could I be
continue.
permitted to proceed to the next issue given the lack of time?
So we would like you to answer this first question mainly plaguing us, that is how can you evade your contractual obligations? Is there any legal precedent as to how and why you can evade your contractual obligations?
Your Honor, given the nature of the pandemic and the
No,
force
other
majeure
than
clause
the
that were
pandemic, do you have any other answer?
Your Honor, given that the users agreed to the force majeure clause, which allowed, um, which took up such an
Council, are you
took up for the
aware of
possibility of
click wrap agreements?
no, Your Honor.
So these are such agreements where the user has no option to agree or deny to any of the terms, and because of such majority of power given to the company, these agreement terms are in question in some courts of law. So in this case, you all have not even taken such consents from them to leak such information, or did you even give a warning that there are
Um,
chances of leakage of data due to the pandemic? Was there any
But
warning?
much obliged, but no, there were no such warnings that were made by Cobalt. But again, coming to the voluntary nature of the app, it was not a mandate that was imposed by Cobalt or the government of India. The users decided for themselves and agreed to share the data, the
We
kind
shall
of data that
direct
was
Also,
being
the
we shall
shared.
users
direct the
agreed to
country to
share the
ban this app from today.
But Your Honor, the users have agreed to
No, the
for
users will
agreed
agree
to
to many
accept
things.
what
the
you are
Let us
doing is
ban
not
this
what
app.
the users agreed to.
Yes, Mega?
Your Honor.
Yeah. See, the users agreed to a certain set of things. What you're doing or what you did is beyond that certain set of things. The user hasn't agreed to what you did. So, see, other than the COVID pandemic happening, your inadequate work from home, and the users agreeing to this, do you have any other defense over here?
No, Your Honor.
Please proceed to your next issue.
Um, the council submits that the vesting of powers in the data protection authority, adjudicating
Council, could you
officer does
repeat?
not
I
violate
couldn't
the
hear you.
doctrine of separation of power.
Council, could you repeat? I couldn't hear
Okay,
you.
the council submits that the authority of the Data Protection Act to appoint the adjudicating officer does not violate doctrine of separation of powers. Additionally, there was no violation of a principle of natural justice, and there was no excess delegation of legislative power on any of the authorities. As per the structure of the PDPA recognizes two forms of authorities in the legislation itself. One which undertakes the advisory and regulatory function, and the other which takes the adjudicatory function. And there's a third
Council,
body
how
as
do
well,
you feel?
which is the appellate tribunal. So, given that there are three
Council,
distinctive,
can you hear me?
my apologies, Your Honor, your voice is not clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, Council, what I'm asking you is, uh, how do you think that the authorities which are appointed by the government are going to pass judgments against the government? This is nothing but similar to those post-judicial yeah, retirement appointments of the judiciary, where we have seen judgments being passed in favor of the government, even by the apex court, and that has come under judicial review in recent times. So, what is your opinion that an adjudicating authority of the lowest fora would not engage in such kind of pressures?
Much obliged. Your Honor, there's a chance that something like that might happen, which is why the Act undertakes the establishment of three distinctive authorities. There is no finality.
Why do you have a mechanism which provides for such loopholes? Why can't we just nip those loopholes in the bud by removing such kind of appointment powers to the government and establish an exam format and an interview like that happens for the judicial?
Your Honor, given that these are statutory authorities, while appointment as well, the central government is guided by certain criteria that they are supposed to follow. As in this case, also under Section 62(2), the central government needs to ensure that there is operational segregation, independence, and neutrality of the adjudicating bodies that are involved. So it is not that the central government is appointing any and everybody, and they're ensuring that the person who's being appointed has the expertise and the specific knowledge that is required to undertake the actions of the adjudicating bodies. And a separate regulatory function has also been established through another authority altogether. Even if even if we run on the assumption that there might come an issue in the kind of decision that these bodies come to,
Council,
there's another third.
Council, please note that if you read section 62, the central government itself has the powers to prescribe the rules for the number of appointing officers, for the manner and term, for the jurisdiction, and such other requirements as the central government it deem fit. So basically, they themselves are going to decide the parameters under which they are going to appoint people which might or might not favor them. The section 62 itself is so vague and giving again unfettered powers to the government.
So there is absolutely no operational independence also over here.
Your Honor, as established in the case of Neem Singh versus Union of India, modern governance, there cannot be very strict separation of powers, because it would eventually lead to inefficiency. Given that there is still scope for constitutional accountability to be made in the act itself, it ensures that there
Council,
are
is there
checks on
any
the.
other act where such adjudicating authorities are appointed by giving such, ambiguous powers to the government? Are there any other such existing laws as of today?
Your Honor, I'm not aware of other laws, but I would disagree on the fact that there are ambiguous powers that are given to the central government, given that they are required to
Timekeeper,
abide
two
by
minutes.
certain guidelines.
Council, there is no guideline. They say that the guidelines itself will be fixed by the central government as it deem fit. What are the guidelines? Please elaborate.
Um, um, under section 62,
62
Your
only.
Honor.
Please see 62 subclause 2 subclause D. See what does
Under
it say?
such, but Your Honor, Section D is also supposed to be read with the subsection 2, which requires that the individuals who are the body should maintain operational segregation, independence, and neutrality of while undertaking such adjudicatory functions.
Council, this seems very du- uh, you know
Also,
a two-sided
Contradictory.
approach. You're just saying on
your
the face of it. You're just saying on the face of it, let us maintain segregation of powers. But in fact, what you're doing is not that. This is nothing but doctrine of culpable legislation. I think we need to just apply that doctrine and nullify this law.
Your Honor, given that there are three,
One more minute, timekeeper. Council, proceed.
Your Honor, I submit that given that three different bodies are present in the legislation, and proper checks are established, and difference in the way that inquiries are made by each of these, given in the legislation itself, ensures that checks can be maintained on the activities that are undertaken by them.
Council, thank you. I think we'll move to rebuttal from petitioners. Just
Petitioner.
30 seconds since we gave so many extensions. Only 30 seconds for each team. Start, petitioners.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, any procedural safeguards which were provided by the Data Protection Act were dissolved by the notification dated 30th March, as it mentioned that none of the provisions of the Act will apply to it. Point number two, that the notification had a disproportionate effect on the rights of the people. The Council agrees that for the legitimate state interest, the rights of the people can be curtailed. But if we refer to the para number 6b of the data of the moot proposition and para number 7 of the moot proposition memorial for the petitioner, the rights of the individuals, only those individuals' rights could have been curtailed who were intentionally inflicting
Stop, council.
injury.
Respondent, council, please.
Your Lordship, it is submitted that only 2 points need to be highlighted. Primarily is the aspect of consent. There was no mandate here. It was not even publicly promoted by the state. So in case they thought that the privacy policy was too wide or too ambiguous or was impinging upon their rights, they had the choice to not subscribe to the app. Further, that time itself, they could have gone and contested this in the court. However, they did not. And lastly, the point of the provisions of the Disaster Management Act and the Data Protection Act have to be highlighted herein because they provide the government with the power to do everything that they have done. There is sufficient legal backing. There are statutory provisions as well.
Council, stop. Megha, would you like to give your feedbacks first before we let the participants exit the room?
Manav, I think you go first.
Oh.
Then
So starting, am I audible to all of y'all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good round, good submissions here and there. Starting with petitioner speaker number 1, you had a good breakup of your time. You read the facts of, please read your facts of judgments, do not come unprepared. All the judgments that you cite, you need to know under what background they were passed. You cannot just cite the law and skip the facts. I know Puttaswamy's decision is very huge, but the first few paragraphs at least you all should be aware of. You had the good answer on ambiguity where you specifically referred to any manner. That was a very good answer which had been brought. But after that there was a lot of uncertainty in your answers. You were very vague and you were just beating around the bush as pointed out by my co-counsel in the rounds itself. So you also did not speak about the breach of this 50,000 of users data. You should have utilized such kind of data to show that there are so many faults on this particular app that needs to be set right. Okay, so I wish you all the best, speaker number 1.
Thank you, sir.
Speaker number 2,
Yes.
you were not having a steady line of thought. I felt you could have a more clarity in your line of thought. You had a good way of speaking and good way of moving ahead, but I think your line of thought needs to be very clear. We as judges in moot courts are only sitting here to confuse you and deviate your path and all, but you should stick to your line of thought. You cannot deviate your line of thought. If you feel the chairperson is wrong, if you feel the educating authority is wrong and the inquiry officer, all of their posts are bad in law, you stick to that. Do not say yes, adjudicating authority is wrong and then proceed to say that no, even the chairperson also is wrong. Yes, counsel 2. But at points you had good answers, counsel 2. I'd give that to you. Speaker number 1 of the respondent, very calm and composed. How much ever we throw bombs at you, that will not shake you is what we saw. So that's a very good quality you had. Both the speakers 1 and 2 of respondent do not say much obliged for every question. No, that is simply a waste of time, and it also looks odd. If you sit at this side, you will realize that. Then you also had a very nice way of disagreeing with both of us. You had conceded to the point, but you however said I would like to differ. That was a very good way of putting forth your views. Only one thing that I think you need to do is to minimize your reactions if the questions from the bench do not agree with you. You cannot roll your eyes. You cannot be like, what is happening? You have to keep your reactions to the minimum. Only then will the bench understand and proceed to question you. Right, counsel 1? Coming to respondent counsel 2, when you're speaking and you're thinking of an answer to a question, you can take a pause, but do not use the word you had a lot of ers when you were talking. Always give a pause. There is no issue if you take a pause, but when you make a number of ers, then it sounds, you could hear how it sounds. It sounds really bad. So you just ignore the and just proceed with a pause. That makes the presentation much better. I also like the answer that you have given as to how to address the bench collectively. That was a brilliant answer that you have given. I thought there would be no answer, but it was a good one. Again, you do not have to say much obliged in every question. Just skip it. I felt you had clarity of thought in few sentences, but again, since there was no clarity when we used doctrine of culpable legislation, I think you could have used the principles of interpretation or statute interpretation to give a better answer. If you do not have answer in the law, you need to then utilize these doctrines of interpretation of statutes, harmoniously constructing. All this have to be used when there is no clarity. Like I told them that when section 61 is not clear, then only we'll, or 91 is not clear, then only we'll look into the intent of the legislation. So such kind of things you all should keep in mind before you all make any submissions. Clear? All the four speakers and researchers also. Researchers also can keep this in mind for their rounds whenever they become speakers. Wishing all the speakers and researchers all the best. I yield the floor to Megha.
Thanks, Pranav. Yeah, it was a lovely round, a great start actually. And with petitioners, speaker one and speaker two, what I'd say is, um, so personally, what I felt was you were very thrown off by the questions that we put. So it seemed like even when we moved forward, you were still stuck on the very same question, because of which you weren't able to get us back on track with respect to your argument. The entire point of presenting your argument in a moot is that irrespective of what we ask you, you still go back on track and follow the same argument that you had prepared. So you have to bring us back on track. We are not going to come back on track. We are going to make you waste as much time as possible. So this is something that I observed both in speaker one and speaker two. Speaker two tried a little more. Speaker one, I felt was very stuck to that first initial few questions that we had. We just couldn't move on from there, which is why again you could not get to your third issue also. Okay, so the art is in bringing us back in line with your argument. Got it? Yeah, other than that, I agree with everything that Manav said. It was beautifully put. I do not have anything more to say to that. With respect to the respondents, I really like how respondent one did her presentation. I felt that she was extremely well prepared with what she wanted to say and the order in which she wanted to present her arguments. And again, you were not thrown off by the questions that we asked you. You were. It almost seemed as if you were predicting what we were going to ask you and you were answering in that manner. So that was extremely good. But again, like Manav said, please limit your expressions, especially since we are in a virtual setting also. Please limit your expressions to what you feel about the questions that we are asking you. So see, that's what we're going to do. That's our job. We're definitely going to ask you questions that you like, you may not like. So you do not have a choice to whether you can express your feelings towards it. You're going to have to answer it anyway. Okay. With respect to speaker two, I think it was a shaky start, but I like how you composed yourself after that. It almost felt like you wanted us to ask you a few questions and get you prepared, and then you'll start doing your job of taking the argument forward, which you actually did pretty well. But all four of you actually, I feel, did not manage to put forth your entire case forward. It would have been a lot more better if you guys could actually complete your arguments for each issue at least. Even though we were continuously stopping you, if you could have at least, at some point you should realize that, okay, there's nothing more that I can argue in this issue. So even though I'm being questioned, I'll try concluding it and go on to the next issue, because I need to maintain my time and I need to know when to stop. Because we are not going to tell you that, okay, stop and go on to the next issue. So you have to figure that out on your own. We're just going to keep making sure that you waste your time. So please do make sure that you manage your time well in the next round. Okay? So all the best. It was great having you guys.
Can all the participants
all the best to all the participants.
Thank you, judges.
can all the participants choose the leave meeting option and rejoin the same link at 12:45 for prelim 2. And once all the participants have left, then the judges can proceed with marking.
Okay.
The participants have left, judges, so you can proceed.
Okay.
Thank you. Anna, you will fill it in?
Yeah, I'm
Or-
just opening the